the core. So it's not clear how it is to be located. At other times, it seems that it is located in a separate place. It is suggested here that we should identify the Dukuk with the tel pre-existing before the foundation of Ornama in 03 times, probably already before the foundation of the Naram Sin and Shakleshari core. So a veneration of the earlier mount of the temple, which was considerably altered in the times of Naram Sin and Shakleshari, and as well at over 3 times. And the mythological evidence about the founding of Nippur. According to a founding myth set in the Song of the Ho, Nippur was built by a Ho at a place generally located at a site where during the 3rd millennium BC, at the latest from about 2900 BC onwards, a temple dedicated to the goddess Inanna stood. To be identified here with the earliest excavations at this place in 1889. This might be no coincidence, as from a perspective dominated by the Uruk ideology, with Inanna as the main goddess, this made sense and found its way into literary tradition with continuity until the 2nd and 1st millennium BC. So how were the sanctuaries mobilized during the integration processes of new political and cultural orders? As the main Southern Mesopotamian sanctuary, sometimes referred to as the Mesopotamian Vatican, as Westerners coined, instrumentalization was omnipresent. The early dynastic ruler Lugasere Sagesiv Umar celebrated here during the 24th century BC an enormous victory banquet, the scale of which can be estimated through hundreds of fragments of stone bowls with a votive inscription, commemorating his supremacy from the Upper Sea until the Lower Sea. This was a short-lived success, as only a few years later he was brought to the gate of the very same temple, this time in an extok as a clear sign of suppression after being defeated by Sargon of Akkad. This was still in the early dynastic core. The Akkad period saw the rise of Enlil beside Ishtar to the head of the pantheon of the earlier empire of Akkad. Probably already earlier, but at the latest, then it became necessary that Nippur retains a city god, which was found with Ninurta, the son of Enlil. The administrative structure during the Akkad period at Nippur, according to Westerners, looked as follows. The core was headed traditionally by a Sangha, with a literal meaning head, now also supervised by a Sagina, who was designated by and had to report to the leaders of the empire. When in 1987, Arge Westerners coined for the older Canaan core the term Mesopotamian Vatican, with which he primarily meant mainly the organizational level as being independent within the city. Despite the original intentions, in the 3rd millennium BC, as Southern Mesopotamian religious center, it was indeed comparable to the center of nowadays Catholicism in comparing its cultic importance. The administration under the NC, the city rule of Nippur, concentrated on a part of dominated by the Ninurta temple called Eshumesha. He was also the head of this temple. The NC had to make regular trips to Akkad, which is documented in the Onion archive from the westbound of Nippur, published by Westnords in the same volume. And now to the location of the Ninurta temple. So here we have the map created by Westnords, here with the approximate find spot of the Onion archive in the earlier Pennsylvania expeditions. Regrettably, the Ninurta temple itself was not found, despite of about 170 years of exploration at Nippur. Furthermore, it was not even added to the Middle Babylonian city map of Nippur. This can be explained with the fact that this was a strategic plan concerning the defensive of the city, and on it only strategically important structures like the city walls, moats, and later ways were indicated. This makes also clear that the Eku temple with the adjacent temple of Enlil, of Enlil's consort, could have been used as a fortress in times of crisis. Here on a schematic plan, we see the Onion archive find spot. It's at the southeast slope of the part of the West Mount designated by the early excavators as Mount 1 or Camp Hill. After 1990, when Gibson identified the W8 temple as the Gula temple, it was considered that also the temple of her consort Ninurta could be found nearby. In my opinion, this seems to be highly likely if we keep in mind that also the equally unexcavated Enlil temple was indicated on the Nippur city map bordering the Enlil temple on its northeast side. So here, like here. Already in 1987, Westnords added several convincing finds to the main arguments that the Ninurta temple is to be found at the West Mount. Here, further to the southwest in WB, in Gibson's WB excavation, a list concerning Satuku offerings, a later time than the ones discussed by Sigrid, were found. In an even more southeastern part of the West Mount, two contracts in Mount 10, two contracts found among the burial mentioned Naditos of Ninurta from the place of the Lukor priestesses, Kilokura. From another burial came a pink diorite cylinder seal, which from the same mount, which belonged to a Luko of Ninurta. Additionally, a jug of Urdu, the chief pot of Ninurta, was found, although in disturbed context on the foot of the mount besides other votive offerings. So here you see Mount 1, where the Oninaka was found. Here you see Mount 9, where WB was excavated with two offerings. And here the two burial contexts with the place of the Lukor priestesses, Kilukura, and the cylinder seal of Luko of Ninurta. All this evidence leads me to prefer a location on the West Mount, possibly in Mount 1. If we look, especially if we look on the indications on the East Mount, on the eastern part of Nippur. We have the famously the Ur-3 accounts of field of Ninurta, two cassette texts concerning grain in the Ninurta temple from Mount 8, and a nearby text concerning brewer's prevent of Ninurta, beside other temples. From Mount 3, we have a nearby hymn to Ninurta in the Ekor, and we have bricks of Ishmedagan for the 50-headed mace of Ninurta, for the socket for this mace, which was found outside of the Ekor. This would not be a problem to have it nearby the Ekor without even an Ninurta temple nearby, as he is the hero of Nippur and the hero of Ninurta, the hero of the Ekor, as he brought back the tablets of wisdom and in his victory against Ansu. In Mount 6, several tablets in a Parthian filling of the SP2 Inanna temple, so the later Parthian foundation of the Inanna temple, were found. This is the main evidence for Zettler to locate the Ninurta temple nearby the Enlil temple. He quoted Crawford Crawford noted that tablets from the archive of the Ninurta temple were in the fill of the northwestern part of the platform, whereas the tablets from the archive of the Inanna temple were in the fill of its center and southeastern sectors. So they tried to fill up a slope towards northwest with these tablets. If we look at the nowadays layout of the ruins of Nippur, two main parts are apparent from the first glance, which can be simplified as the West Mount, and the East Mount, the East Nippur, let's say like this, with a relation of about 3:2. The construction project of Furnama, clearly designed to overtop the earlier Akkadian foundation, is another case where Nippur, with its main sanctuary, Ekur, served as the religious center of the state of the Third Dynasty of Ur. Later, during the Middle Babylonian period, beginning with the 14th century BC, rulers of foreign Kassite origin, best described as outsiders in the centuries before, revitalized the Enlil cult in Nippur and dedicated a newly built residence with Dur-Kurigartsu in Akakuf, on the outskirts of nowadays Baghdad, to the same god. Here, the choice of Enlil as a main god may have been favored by the similarity of his qualities with the Kassite god Harbe. But more importantly, Enlil's cult formed an existing counter-program in the religion and ideology to oppose the Marduk cult centered in Babylon, which was established by the Hammurabi dynasty. Already the sacking of Babylon by the Hittites in the 16th century BC, as it looks from Nade's state of knowledge, with the help of Khani